We're back. You're watching Free Speech TV's live special coverage from Occupy Wall Street. It is Labor March on Wall Street Day, and I'm joined in the park here by a man who's been watching this movement grow, even as he's been dissecting the news and reporting on the financial plunders and blunders of our time. He's Danny Schechter, the news dissector. You can get more information at our website. Danny, welcome back to Free Speech TV and GritTV. Glad to have you.
Is this what democracy looks like? I mean, I'm trying to find that. I kind of hope not, but maybe it's a good start.
Well, let's talk about the relationship between democracy and the corporate power that people are talking about here. For one thing, historically, wasn't this country's initial Tea Party revolution about throwing off corporate power and corporate monopoly in the shape of the East India Company? Wasn't that what it's all about? How did we get here?
Yeah, and colonialism, not to mention that. Other people telling you what to think and what to do. And this is why, in some ways, this movement, is reshaping what politics could be by having a very bottom-up approach, very democratic process, a very anti-leader orientation. Now, that fit well with today's media culture, where everybody wants a spokesperson, everybody in the media, wants a message point and a slogan, not 10,000 message points and slogans. But nevertheless, this gathering here, encampment, call it what you will, started getting very hostile media. First started getting no media coverage. Then it started getting cynical and sarcastic media coverage. Hostile, ha ha ha. I met a man down there named Germ, ha 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 ha, in the New York Times. But then, as this thing went on, the tone has changed. Yesterday in the New York Times on the business pages, they were saying, it's maturing. They were saying, it's now about a corporate accountability. Once they found their own words to put on it, they felt more comfortable with it. And so what we're seeing now is many world media outlets reporting this as an important expression of discontent in America.
What power do the people here have, in the sense that we're very aware of corporate power in America? Can our democracies still change the laws around corporations and their ability to plunder the rest of us?
Well, yesterday, the governor of New Jersey, who was expected to become a presidential candidate, refused to do so. And he said very simply, no. And when he was asked, he repeated it, no. And then he repeated it again, no. Well, the folks here are saying no to Wall Street, to the Wall Street culture up the street. They're saying no to crass materialism and self-dealing and a small percentage of people profiting while most people are losing homes and jobs and hope and future and their futures. So in a sense, it's an act of resistance and defiance. It's a little maybe rough around the edges, but there's a spirit here that's really impressive. In my film Plunder, poster behind me, I called for demonstrations. I showed people demonstrating. And for a long time, the foreclosure victims and the people who were fighting for economic justice were marginalized in the media. It just wasn't, the message, if you will, and they weren't paid any attention. Now I think that's changing, and we're realizing the depths of this problem, that we're on the verge of yet a new recession. I believe it's a depression. Certainly Europe is facing the same problems. It's a global crisis. And as a consequence, I think we need to find out more about how this happened, all the financial crimes. I've been writing about it in my book. I've been making films about it. But, I really haven't reached that mass audience yet. But these folks are reaching a mass audience.
Let's talk about the crimes, because one of the things people have said here is stop arresting the protesters, directing to the NYPD, the police department, and start arresting the people over there in Wall Street. Is that just flippant talk, or are there grounds on which people a few blocks from here could actually be arrested? For what?
Really good question. Back after the S&L crisis in the Reagan years, 1,500 banksters, as FDR called them, went to prison, went to jail, as a result of blatant fraud and defrauding their customers, their business associates, and each other. And, so there is a precedent for this. In this case, nobody's going to jail, in part because of how cozy Wall Street now is. They deregulated the environment. They decriminalized the environment. Key Wall Street honchos like Geithner and Summers, became advisors to the president. They kind of captured the government, and we have to take it back. And that's what people are saying. And the role of independent media like your program and your efforts is to help inform the public about what's going on. That's what I'm trying to do to the degree that I can. I'm writing now for Al Jazeera. I'm writing blogs every day at newsdissector.com. I'm trying to get the word out.
What about what we learned this week about Fannie Mae and their knowledge as early as 2003 that the mortgage house of cards, if you will, was destined to collapse?
It reminded me of a question from the Watergate days. When did you first learn about this practice, and when did you forget you first learned about the practice? That's what seems to be happening here. Fannie Mae, knew about all this fraud, and they looked the other way because, in a way, they were benefiting by it. They paid all their executives very well. They really supped at the trough of the government with government protection. They were government, enterprise. That has to be changed. But more than that, there needs to be some sort of new honesty going on in the business world, more ethics, more accountability, more transparency, more responsibility. And it's not going to happen from inside the business world. It's only going to happen when people from outside begin pressing them. So far, the only quotes I've seen from people in businesses is our personal safety at risk? That's the only way they can think about it. They can't even legitimately, recognize the valid questions being raised here. But I think we need to keep raising them. And what is happening here is quite unique, and it's spreading around the country. It's spreading around the world. Not only Cairo, but Madrid, Barcelona, other places that have done this type of movement have been really successful in galvanizing people, and this one will too.
Already around this country, there are demonstrations like this. Occupations happened this weekend in 27 cities, including Youngstown, Ohio. There are occupations happening as we speak in Boston and Minneapolis, and active demonstrations in Washington, D.C. We hope in this coverage to bring you a taste of all of that and more. So don't go away.
She's the one.
You're watching Free
Laura
Speech
Flanders.
TV with Danny Schechter. Thanks for watching.